As you all know, February is Black History Month. And as we reminisce on the successes of the past and our advancement as a people, today we would like to spotlight some of our graduate family making history by doing impactful work here in the Baltimore community. Joining me in studio today is Ms. Sabrina Sampson. Sabrina is a first-year master's student in sociology here at Morgan, and she also received her bachelor's in sociology from here. Sabrina, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I don't know if people know this about you, but you were born in Jamaica, isn't that right?
Yeah, I was born in St. Andrews, Jamaica.
All right. So when did you first start coming over stateside?
Well, my mother and my sister and I, we migrated to Maryland, I want to say 1997. So I was about 2.5, thereabout. So I've been here for most of my life, just visiting.
And how different, and tell me about like making that transition, like moving from Jamaica all the way over here, like was there any differences? Tell me about it.
Was there any differences? Yes, major differences, but luckily I can say that I came over young enough that I was able to adapt to the American culture, and I had really great parents that wanted me to still be connected with my Jamaican heritage, so I did get to visit every summer, went up into my teenage years, so I'm just trying to get back there as an adult.
And what about the island do you miss most? What about the island do you miss most?
What do I miss the most? Other than the weather, I would definitely say the food. When you're on an island, most of the food is a lot fresher. You can pick things off of trees and just wash them off and eat them. I don't eat meat anymore, so that's not an issue, but the meat there is a little fresher. You get to see them, what you're about to eat and how it's being prepared.
So tell us about how you ended up at Morgan, like for your bachelor's.
Well, it's a funny story. I never actually intended on coming to Morgan, but it was the recommendation of my high school friend, and she's just like, oh, come, they're having an open house, and, you know, they're having, I forget what it's called, I think it's like admissions day or something of the sort.
Yeah.
And so I came, and, you know, we got the campus tour, and we had to take, excuse me, we had to take the little entrance exam, and so I took it, did really well, and then Morgan actually offered me a scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah, they offered me a full ride scholarship for the honors program. So of course I was like, okay, that's done.
And another thing that people may not know about you that I found out is that you've done a lot of presentations over the years from both undergrad and even now at the start of your graduate career. Like, tell us about some of those experiences.
Well, I wouldn't say that I've done a lot. I've done my fair share, so about a handful or so, and I'm just getting better with time. I hope I said that okay, but they're still a little bit nerve-wracking, but really my presentations have been focused on education reform. So as a sociologist, I just want to continue doing research to help improve public education for urban communities, and that's what I've been taking with me on my journey.
And speaking of that journey, you now have a new part of that journey. You are now the research lead for a community program called Mpossible.Design. For those who don't know out there, tell us what Impossible is all about.
Okay, so Mpossible.Design, we are a research and art design firm. So basically what that means is we want to produce educational art. Of course, art is there for the visual aspect. You know, people want to look at it, be inspired, or think abstractly, but we have a secondary purpose, and that's to educate. Education doesn't have to be in the traditional setting, so we don't want to limit any of our viewers, our community, to just say you should learn in school or in a library. We want to put art in the public for people who can't afford it, or just make knowledge more public. So yeah, we have our interests and our focuses. We like to do thorough research, whether that means going to, you know, National Archives, reading several books, or interviewing, whatever that may be. And then we have our founder, Lauren Scott. She's amazing, and she takes what we've learned and she transforms it into something that it's thought-provoking. So it's not necessarily just a picture. Even the project we're working on now, it's more so working with bronze, and how do you call it? The double-sided mirrors, like cracked glass in that sense.
Okay. And you talked about the arts, and recently I was in a discussion about the future of arts in public schools here in Baltimore City, and visual arts is one of those things of they continue to keep, for lack of a better word, just putting it to the side. Where does Impossible kind of see themselves furthering Baltimore's city's youth through the art that they do?
That's a great question. I would absolutely say yes. We're actually working right now. We're working to collaborate with more, more groups, and just have a more fulfilling experience. We think that by connecting, it'll be more fruitful in that sense. So hopefully we get a large enough think tank so we're meeting everyone's need. We don't want you know that's why we're doing it, for people like the children who are in schools and don't have access all the time, or can't make those trips to places that are further away, like the Smithsonian. We want things right here in the city for our kids and for the adult, just for the public.
And the second thing that you said earlier that caught my attention was all your research you've done. Take me back. What's that one research that you've done? You say you've been to the Smithsonian. You say you've been to the National Archives. But what's that one research that's just been like, wow, like this is really opening my eyes to this?
I would say most of my research is like fact uncovering, if I can say that. So I do a lot of fact checking. So that means like books and manuscripts, whatever the case may be. The most revelation, what's the word I'm looking for here? The turning point for me in the research was reading about the Worley versus Buchanan case, so court cases. And it just gave me a chance to really reflect on Black history, all of the movers and shakers in the past and what they've done, and just to really appreciate, their minds, like going into a court case with these strategic plans and actually winning. And that's a big win, not only for the city of Baltimore, but for Black people in general.
And how would you say Impossible has influenced your research with sociology or vice versa?
I want to thank Mpossible.Design for helping me rediscover my love for reading.
Wow.
So anytime you do research, it's a lot of reading, and I've managed to up my skills where I can read faster, more thoroughly. And like I said, fact checking. So just changing my mind and how I read through things, I think it's definitely benefited me as a sociologist and a researcher.
Well, Sabrina, it's been an honor having you on our show. Thank you so much, and best of luck to you and the rest of the Impossible.Design team as you guys continue to strive to do greater here in Baltimore.
Thank you.
If you want more information on Impossible.Design, visit their website at www.impossible.design. Again, that's www.impossible.design. You can also access them on social media with the handle Impossible.Design.